What it do, YouTube? It's SS, and I'm back with another video. Yeah, you know it. So today, something a little spicy. You know what I'm saying? So I ran Shadow Needle, not Needle Queen, but Venusaur. Same poison typing, but yeah. And along with Obstagoon, but running Hyper Beam and a Zoom Roll with Ice Beam play rough. I don't know why that was hard to say, but it was hard to say. But yeah. So it's gonna be a longer video. Obviously, this team was made not by me; it was made by my brother. Um, and I really liked it when because I've been helping them do this team, right? So I've been helping them trying to learn how to play it, like or how to play the Pokemon at least, and trying to teach them like move timing and all this stuff. And so I've seen that he got a couple wins and stuff. He was killing it with the team, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make one myself. I'm gonna make a Venusaur. I actually had to power up this Azumarill. I didn't have one before, so I did make this one the other night, and I ran it on stream. If you guys are watching this on 130, the 31st, so it was just yesterday. It was on the 30th. Um, it was on Twitch. I did all these battles on Twitch. Link in the description if you guys want to go over there and follow and watch them happen in real time. So right here, like to be honest, in the first set I go 5-0, and then I go 2-3, I think. And then I'm not too sure about the other two sets, but I remember that the last one was another 2-3. So we're gonna see a lot of mistakes here. The last set, spoiler alert, there's gonna be a lot of medis. We're gonna see a lot of medis, and sometimes I guess I make the wrong move, so I just ended up top left in a lot of these battles. But yeah. So but anyways, let's get to these battles. So we're gonna see this Skarmory just throw the sky attack, but at this point, I was really scared because I didn't think I was gonna live it, but I literally lived it, and I was like, okay, you know what? That's what's up. So now right here, this is actually a pretty bad lead because the cycle boosts obviously do a lot of damage and it's super effective. So and the thing is that he goes straight for it here, which I really think is weird. And then he swaps into a nice Fang Drapion. To be honest, I should have swapped here at this point, but I mean, but then again, I guess I don't know. To be honest, I kind of I don't know. I got stumped. I was like, what? Ice Fang Drapion. I was really confused. So I think that's why I kind of reacted by throwing the frenzy plant because I didn't know what to do. But anyways, we're gonna be able to take it out with the Azumarill, which is fine. And now we're gonna see this Deoxys come in. And so I'm just gonna charge it up to an excellent here. And they're gonna shield it, which I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And I'm just gonna let it go. If he has Thunderbolt, so what? But this guy is running Rock Slide, and I'm able to sneak another bubble in. They don't deal with counters, so that's pretty good for me. And we actually end up swapping at the same time. And he's gonna come into the Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm gonna come into my Obstagoon. So I'm able to get this Night Slash off. So at this point, I'm trying to fish for a boost and hoping I can get a boost. Obviously, I let the first one go through, but I mean, maybe I could have shielded up to be honest. And but anyways, I'm gonna be able to get to this Night Slash, and we're gonna charge it up to an excellent. And we're gonna see what they want to do. They let it go, and I'm like, okay. So now I let this go. I'm pretty sure I let this go, right? Yeah, I let it go. And then I just come in Venusaur, get this one Vine Whip of energy, and they're gonna come into the Deoxys. So I'm gonna farm up, and I'm gonna try to throw on CMP because I want to force them to see if they want to shield. And if they do shield, well then I'm gonna be able to get to another one, I think, and we could just force shields there. And either way, so I'm gonna try to farm up, throw. I don't think I try to CMP them. I just throw right away because I wasn't sure how much energy they had. I wasn't really counting, so I kind of it didn't matter really. I will see now. I was thinking there was a Pokemon in the back, but anyways, now we're gonna be able to move on to the next game. So Venusaur into Jellicent. So this is obviously a very good lead. So we're gonna be able to farm up here, and I'm trying to make sure that I throw in good timing. So I'm gonna throw right on there fifth on their fifth hex, right? And that's right before they get to the shadow ball. So at this point, I'm thinking like they built up to the shadow ball. They probably want this thing gone. They shielded. Yeah, I'm going to shield too. So I farm up a little bit extra here right before they get to the bubble beam because I don't want them to try to bubble beam me. And then they're gonna choose to let it go. I kind of wanted the shield to see what they wanted to do, but they didn't give me the shield there. But then they come into a toxic crow, so I throw the frenzy. I stay in for a bit and I throw the frenzy, and he shields, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep my Venusaur alive and I'm just gonna come into my zoom roll and sack at this point. And look what brings out. It brings out a Lancer, but it did take a while. I guess he put it in farm down range, kinda, and so he's looking like he's going for an aggressive farm down. And at this point, I don't really know how much energy he has, so I'm just going to let this go. Thunderbolt, that's fine. I kind of want him to take me out, and I don't realize I get to the move here. So if I was at least able to throw the move, I would have been able to farm this down a little bit easier, to be honest. But I don't know. But either way, it was weird because I'm gonna get them to throw the thunderbolt here, and I go for like a catch, but I guess I wasn't like I said I wasn't really counting, so I was one off of the catch, but they still end up forcing to throw here. And then now they're gonna come into the toxic croak, and this toxic croak is just gonna be gone. It's gonna get beamed, baby. Here we go, and it gets beamed, and it's out of here. I'm talking like it's out of here. It's out of here. So now we're gonna be able to farm down at this point. We have a shield, so yeah, we were pretty lucky for that one. I don't know how we did it, but we ended up winning, and that was pretty cool. But now we're gonna be hopping into the next battle. I actually really thought I chopped these up a lot better, but apparently I did not. Now we're gonna see Swampert into Venusaur, which is obviously is a very good lead for us, and they're gonna swap into a Noctowl. And I'm a little bit late to the swap because I'm like, who would I swap into? And I actually made a mistake here because I was supposed to go into Obstagoon, but we're gonna see if it works out anyway. But either way, they're gonna be able to shadow ball us, and I'm like, man, they don't really go for it. But I'm talking to my homie at this point, Ruffian, Romero, Rom, Romero, Romero. Yeah, so my bad if I'm saying your name bad, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. I butcher a lot of people's names, and yeah, I was talking to him on my Twitch, and he's from YouTube, so shout out to him. Yeah, he came by to my Twitch and I was actually talking to him at that point, so I kind of made a mistake here, and which is in a way like it doesn't really matter. So they did end up shielding, and two ice beams are KO anyway, so probably the same thing as the play run. So the only thing that happened is I ended up using a little bit more energy. Now I try to catch, and they come out with a Pidgeot here. So I'm like, okay, this is very good for me now. I baited out the Pidgeot, so now I just got to make sure I keep a shield and I can get energy with my Venusaur, and I'm pretty sure I win this. And they're gonna feather dance me. I'm gonna call the feather dance, and it's definitely a feather dance. And so now I'm gonna be able to charge up this nice slash. I'm trying to get the boost here. I'm trying to at least get a boost, try to get it back. And I'm able to get to another one before he throws. I'm not too sure what he's doing here, but he's farming up a lot of energy, which is not very good for me. So now I'm thinking he's gonna go straight for the Brave Bird, but he's farming up way too much energy, and then he just top left. I'm like, what? They didn't even throw. But anyways, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. So now we're gonna see Lantern in the lead with our up against our Venusaur, which is very good for us. So now they're staying in, and I'm like, what? Okay, I'm going to shield Thunderbolt. And this is the Thunderbolt. We call it correctly. So now I'm gonna do one, and I'm gonna throw, because now I'm gonna try to CMP him on the next one, because I want to see what they want to do here. So I'm gonna be able to charge up, and they don't throw. I'm like, okay, okay, I see you. But they let it go, and I'm like, okay. So now comes another Toxicroak, and I'm like, okay, this is not very good. But we end up getting the shield here, so now I'm gonna be able another Toxicroak. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe because I made a TikTok, but yeah. Follow me in TikTok too. I'm also same SSA, same name, spelled the same way. Yeah, go follow me on TikTok. But anyways, so we're gonna be able to, and the YouTube short that I did today. So yeah, a little earlier actually. So we're actually gonna be able to take out this toxic croak. What, that was another toxic croak, right? I think it was. Yeah, yeah, it was a different one. See, so I don't know. There was a lot of toxic croaks, and in the back is a Galarian Stunfisk. So this Galarian Stunfisk needs to throw like an earthquake for it to like KO. But the Ashley, I'm surprised the rock slide actually KO'd, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, this is fine. So now they're gonna earthquake me because I don't want them to throw a move on my Venusaur, and so I'm just gonna safely come into the Obstagoon, and then we're gonna get to a nice slash. We're gonna charge it up, and it lives on 1 HP, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I can swap here, so I swap out and get the Vine Whip off, and we're gonna be able to take this game, and we're gonna be able to get a 5-0. That is the very first set. All these games are in chronicle order. Once again, they were done live on my Twitch, so if you do want to go watch them as they do happen, give me a follow over there. Also, like I said, the TikTok too. Go follow the TikTok. But yeah, so we're doing a little bit of some climbing, and then, like I said, this is 5 sets. So this is a bad lead. This is a horrible lead. So I go straight into Obstagoon at this point, and now I think I remember that I swapped places with them because I didn't want to get confused. I'm like, yeah, I go straight for Obstagoon most likely in all cases, because I really want them to switch out so I can align this Altaria with my Azumarill, but they're not switching now, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? What the heck do they have in the back? And now I'm gonna be able to throw when I'm fishing for these boosts. At this point, I'm like, man, I should have went for the hyper beam, and I gotta let this go. I can't shield that. And because he went for a sky attack or he undercharged it or I don't know, my Obstagoon just lives it. I'm not too sure. They're actually now gonna be forced to shield to give me back a shield, which I'm like, yes, this is good for me. So now I'm gonna be able to come into um or the Azumarill, and I'm gonna farm up. They throw right before I get to the Ice Beam or right when I get to it, and that's good. So I'm gonna be able to take it, and I'm like, they're not switching now. What the heck is going on? And I wanted to get it out the way. I probably could have farmed it down, but then I started seeing those Dragon Breaths, and I'm like, no, I can't have any more damage. And I'm like, oh no, this is not good. There's a grass type in the back, and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm gonna switch out, and they're gonna come into a Diggersby, and I'm like, a Diggersby, okay, well, this is weird. Why would they switch out? And so now they're gonna throw, and I'm gonna call this. This is a fire punch. And I'm like, okay, I really thought about shielding for a good second. I think I did press it last second, but it was already 0 before I pressed it, so it didn't go through. And to be honest here, I should have probably farmed up a little bit more, and I don't even undercharge it. I'm like, dang. So that's, I think what cost me the game is that I didn't really undercharge the move to get a little bit more farm, or at least try to CMP him. Maybe I lost count. Like I said, I don't know. I wasn't really counting in some of these games. So that was literally my mistake where I did there. But we're gonna be hopping into the next game, and I leave this because as you guys see, I went into the Flygon team with Needle Queen and Talonflame, that video I did the other day, and we're gonna queue up into the same team. I backed out and I went to the Venusaur team, and they're gonna come and make me come into this Flygon and into Flygon, the Flygon team. But anyways, we're gonna be able to take this Stone Edge. I think it happened one more time, and but I don't show that time, but you guys will know it because obviously it's a different team. So that's why this happened. That's why I left it in the first time. So when you see guys see it again later on, obviously it's because that happened. But yeah, so now they come into a go bat, and I'm like, what? You just seen that I had Stone Edge, and I'm like, maybe they don't shield. Maybe they think I have Dragon Claw because I haven't revealed my second move, and they're gonna come in and catch on a Gastrodon, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a nice catch. And to be honest, I think I should have did one more Incinerate because I think I gave him a free move there, which obviously is not the greatest. And so now I'm gonna shield this. I'm like, I might as well just shield the first one, and it was a Earth Power, and I'm like, okay. So now I'm gonna throw immediately again because I want to get charged up here. I want to get some more boost, and because of that, we're gonna be able to. Because I undercharged it, we're gonna be able to get two more incinerates in, and I'm gonna call this. He poison fangs me. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then I realized I should have probably swapped out, and we're gonna be able to get the shield, which is obviously good. But now I gotta call this. If it's a shadow ball, he just farms me down, and he knew that was his win con. I knew it too, so I was gonna be able to shield that up. And I was like, man, my lose con is that he gets this shadow ball off and I'm just gonna go for the Earth Power at this point. I'm not even gonna Poison Fang him. I'm not even gonna play with him. You guys can call that as BM. I don't know, but we're gonna be able to get that off. And then so now we're gonna see Sable out here, and I'm like, okay, this is doable. We get to the move at the same time, right? So I farm up for the extra. They foul play me. They get my shield. I'm at the I farm up just a little bit. I probably should have threw one before because I would have been able to force two shields here. And so now I'm gonna shield here and they're gonna throw the foul play, right? So now the in comes the Marowak, and I'm like, okay, I need to get the hell out of here. I need to get up out this mug. So then they're gonna start throwing bone clubs, and I'm like, great, they don't have fire blast. So now I'm charging up this nice slash to an excellent, but I know I need another one, and I'm hoping for a boost here. I'm like, okay, they could shadow bone me. It might do a little bit more damage, and they might only just get that move off because I'm gonna throw immediately. I'm one away from the night slash. So and it's also timing my moves correctly. I didn't know how much energy it had. I don't know. I wasn't even gonna mess with it. So now I'm desperately trying to get to the hyper beam here, and they're gonna switch out into Sable. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So at this point, I'm trying to farm it down, but I'm like, I'm gonna give more farm to my Azumarill here, and then they're gonna come back into the Azumarill, which is fine. So now I have a nice slash, another potential boost at the end of the game if I do need it or something. And obviously, 3 turn versus 3 turn, they're always gonna sneak. You're always supposed to sneak. Unless I think if you swap out, obviously it costs a turn, so maybe that's how you could deny. But either way, we're gonna be throwing play rush at each other for a good little while here, and it's his Azumarill starts getting very low at this point. I'm like, I could probably just vine whip this thing down. So he's gonna throw the play rough. I'm like, okay, that's fine, that's cool. So I come in Obstagoon, try to throw on good timing. Cause I can at least get the shield, right? And then since I threw on good timing, I was able to get to the Night Slash, and once again, like how we did the earlier game, I'm gonna undercharge it, and I'm gonna be able to come in and snipe the Azumarill with my Venusaur. And now we're gonna see a Snorlax, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna get tricky here. So I'm gonna charge up the frenzy plant up to an excellent. I'm gonna switch out, and he switches out immediately too. And I'm like, okay, well, we kind of both blinds through swapped out there at that point, and nobody like, and I'm like, okay, well, probably should have came in with Obstagoon, but I was trying to get energy on the Azumarill just in case, and I'm just gonna be lucky that it was a knocked out that they swapped out into, and we're gonna farm up. They're gonna throw. I was thinking about shielding this, like even the first one, but I don't shield it, and I'm like, this time they're gonna go for the sky attack. So I'm gonna do one bubble for their wing attack and throw in on good timing, and then I'm gonna farm up a little bit extra here. And since they shielded, I'm going to shield too. Now I'm gonna force the shield for real, and they're gonna throw another sky attack. I'm one away from the bubble, the ice beam, so throw on good timing, and I'm gonna force them. They do shield, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna switch out into not into Obstagoon. They have the sky attack here because they cannot shadow ball. And they do end up doing that. And I'm like, oh man, I should have shielded. I needed that energy or I needed that health. I probably could have been able to farm them down completely before they farmed me down. And I'm like, look, this is looking really, really horrible. So So now I come into a zone roll because I'm like, I need them to throw, and I'm like, I need a shield, but I need them to throw, and he undercharges it, or it just wasn't enough, and now I need to shield this. I was hoping I could get more fast move pressure, and I don't want to shield this, so I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna farm it down, and I'm gonna try to get to a move if it comes out with knocked out, and he tries to swap, try to catch him knocked out, and either way, I need to throw at this point, to be honest, and I'm just gonna be able to Vine Whip it down. That Snorlax never threw, so it had to move. It never threw, so it had to move, and the only way it was gonna win is by licking us down. But so now we're gonna see a great lead while it says weak connection, and I'm like, what the heck? So yeah, so now we're gonna charge up this this frenzy plan up. They're not throwing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to shield this regardless though. And I'm gonna make sure that I throw on good timing. They throw a play rough. I'm like, what the heck? Okay. I could have obviously lived that. And I'm gonna throw right before they get to the fifth one, or right when they're at the fifth one, a turn before, and I'm gonna force them to throw, and then they overtap or they go for a next one. I don't know, but either way, that's gonna cost them that their zoom roll here, and they come into an alt area. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna throw the sludge bomb here, and hoping that there's nothing in the back that will counter a zoom roll. Maybe, hopefully, not a lantern. So I'm gonna come into obstacle for that reason, and I'm like, I don't need it. I can't shield this. And it's gonna do a lot of damage, so it's gonna force me to throw Night Slash at this point. I'm like, I need to get the boost or knock this thing out at this point. They're gonna switch out into a Stunfisk. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is still kind of doable. So now I'm gonna charge up the the Night Slash up to an excellent, and they're gonna farm us down. And I'm like, this is not good. This is nothing, anything good. So now I'm gonna come into a Zoom roll. Cause I was thinking about it. I'm like, what should I do? I'm chilling. So I'm like, I might as well shield the first one. It's definitely going to be an earthquake. I doubt that they're gonna bait me. But either way, they're gonna be able to get to another earthquake. And I'm thinking about catching a move at this point. But I'm like, I can't really catch. But I'm gonna throw in good timing here. And I'm gonna try to knock this out. Hoping this is gonna KO. And it does KO. And they're just gonna top left at that point. Cause I guess they didn't want to. I don't know. I don't know. I was hoping I could have Vine whipped it down again with Venusaur, but now we're gonna get a 4-1 in this set. So I think this is the third set. We got what, two more sets left. So let's see. We get a nice little milk tank, almost a 10-10-10, and we're gonna get up to 21-13. So now I'm gonna see a Drapion in the lead, and I'm like, okay, well, I kind of need this up against my Obstagoon, and I'm like, I don't know how much is it's to a Sludge Bomb, so I'm gonna shield just in case it was a Sludge Bomb, and he just ends up throwing a Crunch, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna farm this up. I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna farm up some more energy here, and I'm gonna try to catch the next Crunch, and I end up catching the next Crunch. I'm like, okay, okay. And he still ends up staying in. And I'm like, what the heck? So I'm gonna throw the Night Slash here, and we're gonna see what they want to do. Do they? And they're gonna catch. And I'm like, oh man, if I would have had that energy, I probably could have made it to a hyper beam. If I went in through, and I would have probably got to a hyper beam at that point. But we're gonna do some damage here regardless. And now I'm gonna come. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I need to come into a zoom roll, and he's gonna blind throw. I'm like, hopefully it's not a psychic. It is an ice punch. I'm like, nice. This is very good for me. So now I'm gonna farm up here. I'm gonna throw the ice beam immediately. I'm like, I'm not playing with this thing. Either he shields first or and he lives on 1 HP. I'm like, man, ain't that something? So he's gonna psychic me, and I was trying to prevent that from happening. I'm gonna switch out. They come into the Drapion. I'm like, okay, I need to KO this thing anyways, unless he's gonna shield. And I'm like, he does end up shielding. And I'm like, well, this is not good. I'm like, so I got a shield here, and it is a crunch. And I try to over farm a little bit. I'm like, no, I don't live a crunch. At this point, I don't live a crunch. I'm like, oh no, I don't. I need to throw this immediately before he starts farming me down because I need to at least live a couple. And I undercharge it just a little bit, try to farm him down, but I do not get the farm down. And at this point, this lantern is just super healthy that I really can't do anything. I would need a shield and call a bait, but even then, I don't even think I would win. I think I need three play rush, maybe a nice beam and two play roughs, something like that. But no, I wasn't gonna be able to do it. So now we're gonna see Medicham into Venusaur, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm always gonna stay in. I'm gonna play it out because Venusaur can actually win this. I go for the extra. I'm trying to figure out where they're throwing, and they do throw the ice punch. I know I can live one, but then it starts getting a little iffy because they can start countering me down completely. You guys see those counters are doing a lot of damage to me, as just about as much as what the Vine Whips are doing. And I'm gonna throw round one before their ice punch, and I'm gonna CMP them because I'm like, okay, well, either I force you to double shield or I get shield advantage, and he's gonna force me to shield or I win lead, and then so I'm gonna throw once again. I don't know if I threw on CMP. I could have threw on CMP, but I don't know. And at this point, I make a mistake. I shouldn't have stayed in. I should have just swapped out immediately. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, what can I do here? I'm like, I'm hoping he throws the poison fang. I'm like this. I'm hoping he throws the poison fang, and no, my opponent is very smart and he throws the earth power and he gets the debuff on me. I'm like, man, that's another thing that just is for sure makes it that I'm gonna lose this game. And now in the back he has a Trevenant. I'm like, man, this sucks. And so now I'm gonna be able to farm up a little bit extra. Azumarill had nowhere to go, and we just had the wrong alignment. It just sucked. And he's gonna throw right before we get to the next ice beam. He's gonna take us out. And at this point I need to farm it down completely. And he's gonna outpace us, obviously. And he's just gonna take us out with the C-ball, and we're just gonna end up losing that game. So we made it close. I just needed to come out with a move. So that's the reason why I didn't throw, because if not, we were gonna get farmed down regardless from by the Needle Queen. So now we're gonna see like a Halloween edition, a Litwig, Sableye. I'm like, okay, well that's pretty cool. But I went for the extra, obviously, and I'm gonna throw right before the CMP tie, and I know I win it. We're gonna be able to charge up this frenzy up. We're at the CMP. I forced them to throw. Oh, I forced them to shield again, or they're gonna let it go. They let it go. That's fine with me. They come into a Zoomerl, and this is actually pretty good because I'd rather have this thing up against my Zoomerl than my Deoxys. But yeah, so now we got Skarmory in the back for Obstagoon. We can handle that, and they're gonna throw their move. They're gonna have Rock Slide. I'm like, okay, this is pretty dope. They're gonna throw again. I'm like, I'm not gonna shield this. They throw another Rock Slide. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So now I'm farming up just a little bit right before their on their next move. And I'm gonna be able to throw this play rough. They shield again. I'm like, okay. That's very weird. I don't need a shield. He throws another rock slide. I'm like, is it single move? He comes in with the Skarmory, so now I'm gonna throw the Ice Beam. We're gonna charge it up to excellent. Then I swap out into Obstagoon. I'm like, okay, this made it just a little bit easier for me to win this game. And he's actually patiently waiting. He wanted me to throw before he threw because he wants to throw the Brave Bird, but now he can't throw the Brave Bird because so he ends up throwing first, and he throws the Sky Attack. And now I'm just gonna be able to get to the next night slash, and I'm just gonna throw it immediately because I do not want him to throw another move. and he's gonna come to the Deoxys, and this is not really looking good for me because he ends up farming me down completely. And I'm like, so okay, so now how do I do this? I got a shield. I need him to throw, but he doesn't throw. He ends up letting me get a move in. Well, he doesn't deny me, which is very good. And he's gonna throw another rock slide. I'm like, man, he's probably close to double cycle boost, but he rock slides and he just ends up getting vine whipped down. So a lot of Pokemon are getting vine whipped down by Venusaur. So now this is he can obviously just go straight cross chop, which is obviously not ideal. So I'm gonna farm up a little bit extra. I'm hoping he goes straight for the rock slide. He goes for the rock slide. I'm like nice, and then he swaps out into an into a lowland Marowak, but the shadow variant. And I'm like, man, this shadow is probably running fire blast, ain't it? And by this point, I'm like, I really can't shield. Because if I shield, then he comes in with Machamp farms me down, and he's just gonna be able to fire blast me. And I'm like, of course, I knew he had it. And so now I'm gonna come into a Zoom try to farm him down before he gets to another move. And he's gonna come into a Lancer. I'm like, man, this is really bad. This is really bad for me. So we're gonna throw the play rough because I'm trying to, and he comes in immediately. He doesn't even wait the clock. So now I'm trying to farm up a little bit extra, and I throw the sludge bomb for some reason. I don't call it. I'm like, oh no, but it doesn't go off, and I'm gonna be able to throw the frenzy plant here, and we're gonna see what they want to do. They and then I get to another frenzy plant. We're gonna charge it up to the next lit. We get the shield. I swap. They end up farming us down, so we actually just barely get to the move, and now I'm gonna be able to throw the play rough here, and they're gonna come into their mod champ. I let this go. I'm like, this has got to be a cross chop, right? It's a rock slide, and that's fine. So I'm gonna farm up just a little bit. I'm gonna throw the ice beam, and I'm gonna let it go just a little bit. Charge it up to a nice. Hopefully, I could get a little bit more, but in this case, now we're gonna be able to just to safely shield because we got a bubble in, and that bubble was enough to KO the lantern. So yeah, we almost lost that, but I don't know. A couple games that we came back from. So now we're gonna see Umbreon into a shiny one. So I'm like, okay, it could have psychic. So I gotta make sure he only farms up to 4, I think. And I'm like, I'm not gonna shield this. I don't have to shield this. I'm gonna do one Vine Whip for the one Snarl, and we're gonna throw the Frenzy Plant here. They're gonna let it go. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm gonna shield, and I'm gonna farm up a little bit extra here. Because I know they're gonna throw and farm up a little bit extra right before their next move, or I actually just CMP them, hoping that they would just let it go. But they don't let it go. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So now I guess I have to shield. And at this point, I'm trying to farm him down. He switches into a Talonflame. I'm like, oh man, I got no shields, and we're gonna be able to get to this Night Slash here. He lets it go. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's gonna flame charge. I'm like, oh man, he's getting ramped up. 1, 2, and it for some reason it lagged there. I don't know. I lagged a turn or something, and he's able to get this flame charge off. And I'm like, oh man, this is super bad because now he's gonna brave bird my Azumarill, and he's gonna get to it. He's at it now. This is a boosted brave bird. I'm like, no man, that almost took me out. And he's gonna come into Umbreon. I'm gonna try to farm him down. I tried to get the Vine Whip in, but I end up catching, and it's just over. I just top left. I'm like, he's just gonna farm me down, and it's gonna be a 2-3. And that was the not the end. Okay. Guess we got one more game here. One more, maybe 2. I don't know. So we're gonna see a horrible lead here. Or it might be the other set, another set. I don't know. We're gonna see. But this is a horrible set. I mean, a horrible lead. And I'm like, man, I really can't send out any Pokemon into this. So I need him to stay in with his Alolan Muck to my obstacle, and he switches out. I'm like Heracross. Okay, well this is really bad. I'm like this is horrible. So now I'm trying to get any chip damage that I can, and I'm gonna come to a Zoom roll. I'm like, well, might as well just come into a Zoom roll. I'm gonna farm up. I'm gonna shield this. What could be a potential Mega Horn. He throws the close combat. I'm like, man, I didn't need to shield that. Not for real. But I'm gonna throw immediately because he could be at another one, and I don't want him to throw another one. So he's gonna let it go. I'm like, nice. We get that thing out the way, but now he's gonna come into the Lowland Muck and he's gonna try to farm us down completely. I'm like, no, I can't have this happen. So I'm gonna throw immediately once I get to the move, and we're gonna see what he wants to do here at this point. And he shields. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna wait for him to throw. He throws the acid spray most likely, right? So yeah, he throws the acid spray. So I'm gonna switch out immediately. I'm gonna farm him down, and he's gonna come into a Lowland Sand Slash. I'm like, man. I didn't have none of my Pokemon had nowhere to go. I'm like, I'm getting hard counter here. And I'm gonna be able to farm up, but not before they farm me down. But at this point, like he could just go straight ice punch and he can win. I'm not even gonna be able to outpace. I shielded just in case, but nah, there's no way. I throw on good timing, charge it up to the next one. We get the shield. And we're just like one away from the next one, and they're just gonna obviously outpace us. They could have bulldozed, but yeah, we're gonna unfortunately end up losing that game. So now we're gonna see Excadrill, and I'm like, what? Excadrill in the Great League? I'm like, okay, I better hope I don't lose this. But anyways, so now we're gonna be able to shield this because it's a drill run that will hurt from coming from Excadrill, and I'm gonna farm up extra, throw the frenzy plant, and I'm gonna switch out immediately because they were pretty much at the drill run. They're farming up extra. They're staying in. I'm gonna let this go. He's gonna be able to get the 2 drill runs off here if he stays in. But before that, I throw because I'm like I don't want to take another drill run, and it's gonna be just enough to KO. And then he goes into a victory bell, and I'm like, okay, well, this is really bad. I need to get to a nice beam. We get to a nice beam. We're gonna be able to charge it up to the next lane. We're gonna see what they want to do. Do they want to shield? They don't shield. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is very good. So now I can come into Venusaur here safely after waiting the clock. They throw immediately. I'm like, okay, this is good. They throw that leaf blade. I'm like, okay, nice. They're gonna come into a Galarian Stunfisk. I'm gonna throw the Frenzy Plant. They need to shield this at this point. And I'm gonna switch out now. I'm gonna come into my Obstagoon, and they're just gonna end up quitting, I think. It looked like they quit. It looked like they stopped tapping. Yeah, they just force quit the app, and I'm like, man, here we go again. Why people do this? And we're just gonna be able to farm it down completely at this point. We're gonna wait out some couple of seconds because the trainer he had force quit the app, and we're just gonna be able to counter down the victory bell. And it wasn't even Shadow. That's the crazy thing. So now we're gonna see Ninetales here, and I'm like, okay. And I switch out. Oh, so this is where it happened again. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go straight for the Earth Power. We have a counter for the Alolan Ninetales still, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm like, they farm up to 5. I'm like, this could be the Psychic. I'm not about to get Psychic, and then they only get to 7, I think, and they throw another foul play. I'm like, okay. So now at this point, I'm gonna try to farm down, but not really. I'm just gonna throw right before they get to the move, or I try to throw on CMP. Either or, I don't know if it was CMP, but either way, they're gonna let it go. They're gonna come into a fair throw, and I'm like, okay, that's nice. So now I'm gonna be able to throw this Earth Power here, and we're gonna see what they want to do. They just let it go. I'm like, okay, nice. And he farms us down, so it's not very nice. But I come into my Flygon, they come into the Alolan Ninetales, and I'm gonna be able to farm down. I need to take this move because that Fair Thorn does have energy, and I can't shield this. and they're just gonna top left at this point because they know it was over for them. So now we're gonna hop into the next battle. We're gonna see Venusaur into Lantern. This is a very good lead, and we're gonna see how we lose this. I don't know. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know if I lose this, but either way, they're gonna come into a Stunfisk, and I'm gonna throw the move immediately here, and I'm gonna try to farm up, try to catch, and I don't catch. So now what I'm gonna catch is a Earthquake, and I'm like, man, this probably hurts a lot more. So I'm gonna shield the Earthquake. It's gonna hurt a lot more than Thunderbolt. But I'm just gonna have to let the Thunderbolt come through, and they're gonna throw. They throw a Surf. I'm like, okay, that's nice. And I could have went for the Hyper Beam, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw immediately here, and they're gonna shield. I'm like, great. We're gonna get to the next Night Slash here, and we're gonna charge it up to the next one. We're gonna see what they want to do. They let it go. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So now I'm gonna let this go, calling it as a Surf. It is the Thunderbolt. And it's just enough to KO us, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I was hoping I was gonna live it, and we're gonna be able to come into Venusaur. I'm gonna charge this up. I really didn't want to throw. I was hoping I could probably get a little bit, and they're gonna come into a knockdown. I'm like, okay, I need to throw the Sludge Bomb to at least get the shield or get this damage off. And now I'm gonna switch out immediately, and I'm gonna try to get to these ice beams. They throw right before or right when I get to it. I'm like, that's cool. I'm gonna let this go. It is the Shadow Ball. And I try to throw right before they throw, but that's fine. I don't think that was CMP. They're gonna throw another Shadow Ball. I'm like, okay, I need to start shielding something. This one they could just go straight Sky Attack. And I'm gonna charge it up to an excellent once we get to the and I'm gonna throw immediately because I do not want them to throw again. I just want this thing out of here. And we're gonna be able to take that game. I think we got one more game, just maybe one or two, something like that. It looks like, and we're gonna see a Licky Tongue. I'm like, okay, well, this is a little weird and awkward. They're gonna catch on Golbat. I'm like, oh man, why did I throw immediately? I usually just farm up extra, and I'm like, well, this is not good. So now I'm gonna farm up extra here. I'm gonna try to catch the Poison Fang. I probably should have went into Obstagoon to be honest, but I wanted to keep the Obstagoon for Licky Tongue, and so now these poison things are gonna start hurting, and I choose to what let this one go. I think, yeah. So I'm gonna let it go. I'm like I can probably shield the next one. I have to shield the next one, or it would do a lot of damage. And they're gonna shield. I'm like okay, that's fine. So if they shield, I feel good about giving them a shield. They're gonna switch out into the Licky Tongue. I'm like oh, I need the time to be up here at this point, and I'm gonna be able to charge this up. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna be able to farm me down. I'm gonna get back into my Venusaur. I shield here, and I make a huge mistake here. I remember I make a huge mistake. I'm like, what? I should have just threw immediately. So now I'm gonna try to farm up a little bit extra, and because I farm up extra, it's gonna cost me the game. So now I can't even get my moves off, and I'm gonna come into Obstagoon here, farm it down completely. They got a Medicham in the back, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not playing that out. My Zoom was already pretty much gone. I needed that energy on Venusaur, but the last set is gonna be a 3-2, and we're gonna get a nice little swine up. But yeah, if you guys like the battles, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on TikTok, same name. I'm gonna start putting that in the description, and I hope you. Oh no, we still have another battle. Yo, okay. I'm already having the outro. But okay, so now we're gonna see Lantern here, and I'm like, no, I get hard counter. I'm like, no. So now we're gonna see a good lead here. I'm like, okay, nice. Maybe we can end it on a good set here, and I'm gonna be able to be farming up here extra, or maybe there's another. Is there another set? I don't know. There's still 12. There's like 8 minutes left, so maybe there's another set. Maybe this is a whole nother set. So I'm going to be able to get this ice beam off, but actually not off, but they're gonna shield and they're gonna throw, and I'm like, I can't shield. So I don't shield. I'm gonna throw the next move here, the next ice beam, and we're gonna see if they want to shield. They do shield. I'm like, okay, what's in the back that's super weak to Azumarill, or are they just playing with me? And I'm calling this as a sky attack. They actually end up throwing the dazzling gleam, and I'm like, okay, well, they swap out into the Azumarill. I come in and KO it. I'm like, I need to get to a move here, and I make another mistake here. I make another mistake here. I try to farm this down. I shield this. I'm like, I can definitely farm this down before he farms me down. And I was wrong. So now I lose all that energy again. I'm like, oh well, that's great. And they're gonna come out into a Stunfisk and but it didn't matter. They they just top left. They don't know I didn't have cross chop, but yeah, they're just gonna top left. And now we're gonna see Altaria. I'm like, okay, well, this is not a good lead. This is definitely not a good lead. So I stay in this time, and I'm gonna get to the sludge bomb here. I'm gonna force them to shield. I really want them to shield, and they do shield. I swap out into a Azumarill. They're staying in. I'm like, what the heck? Okay, why? So this time I'm gonna shield the Moonblast, and they're gonna come into a Jelly scent, and I'm like, oh well, they're definitely going to Shadow Ball me on the first one, right? They're probably just gonna go straight Shadow Ball, and I'm like, I can't really shield anything. So I'm not gonna shield. They do throw the Shadow Ball. I'm like, okay, well that's cool, that's great. And I'm gonna farm up extra here, and they're gonna throw a move. I'm like, well, what? This is the Bubble Beam? It is the Bubble Beam. So at this point, I'm like, man, they just debuffed me. This is not gonna do much, and it really doesn't do that much. I'm gonna farm up here, and I'm hoping that they don't throw the. I throw on CMP. I should have just went for that extra, or try to catch on the obstacle, and we're gonna die with all that energy. And now we're gonna be able to come into this Venusaur farm down. At this point, they got a Medicham in the back, and I'm like, I'm not playing this out, and I just top left. So now we're gonna see Venusaur into. And I'm just gonna switch. I'm like, man, I need to get out of here. So I end up switching. They start feather dancing me. I'm like, well, this is really great. They're gonna outpace us definitely. I'm hoping that they don't throw the Brave Bird, but they're gonna end up throwing. Uh, we're gonna see if they end up throwing the Brave Bird. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm like, they could throw the Brave Bird here at this point. But they end up just feather dancing again. I'm gonna be able to get to the next ice beam, but it's not gonna do nothing. That's why I did all the animation like that, because I'm like, man, it's not gonna do nothing, and I'm just gonna let this go again, hoping it's not the Brave Bird. They keep feather dancing. I'm like, why does this person keep feather dancing? I'm gonna throw on bad timing here, and I want to see what they want to do. They end up shielding, and I'm like, okay, well that's cool. So I think I shield. Yeah, I shield. I come into my Venusaur as they come into their Ninetales. Is not enough to KO. I'm gonna let this go. I'm like, okay, well, I need to let this go. Then I come into Obstagoon, hoping that there's nothing in the back that will uh beat Obstagoon. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna stay in. I'm gonna try to get to the Hyper Beam here. I'm hoping I can get to the Hyper Beam here at this point. And I died that turn that I had it. And I know play rough is not enough to KO. So I just top left. Now we're gonna see Obstagoon, and I'm like, okay, well, this is okay. And we're gonna farm up. We're gonna get the X, and it's not really okay because I need to call Night Slash. I can let one go, obviously, but those counters are gonna start adding up, and he's gonna outpace us. I'm like, okay. And at this point, I thought I was at the back-to-back frenzies because I'm like, I should have already been at the back-to-back frenzy. And I'm gonna throw one extra one just in case I'm not. And I'm at it, so I throw it right immediately. I'm hoping that they shield here. They do shield, but Venusaur is so low. I'm like, I need to bank a move. I tried to get to the next one, but I needed to bank a move. I needed a swap there, I think, and they're just gonna come into the zoom roll. They're gonna throw cross chop. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I can probably farm it down completely. They throw none knife slash, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. They're gonna throw another knife slash, and I'm trying to farm this thing down completely. And I'm able to farm it down completely, come out with some energy. They come into a Cresselia. I'm like, okay, well, I hope this thing doesn't have Moonblast. And I'm gonna throw the play rough here. I'm gonna switch out bank of play rough, come into Obstagoon, and they farmed up a lot of energy. But I'm like, okay, I need this to be a grass knot. They future sight me. I'm like, what? Okay, maybe they're playing mind games with me or something. Maybe they do have the moon blast, and they just playing with me. And then I'm gonna shield this because I'm like, I don't want to get moon blast. That is the grass knot. I'm like, future sight grass knot. Okay, I'm gonna farm up just a little bit extra here. And he's gonna end up switching into a Bastodon. I'm like, I'm gonna throw on good timing. And I'm trying to fish for the boost. We're at another nice slice, but we don't get the boost. We're not, and they're gonna actually end up. Now we're gonna be getting the boost, and I'm like, okay, nice. I really needed this boost. I'm gonna be able to get to this next nice slash. It's just not enough, barely enough. One counter is gonna be enough, and they're gonna come into the Cresselia. This is going to be a grass knot. We're gonna be able to live a grass knot. I'm gonna be able to farm up. I don't want to counter them down, so I'm just gonna throw the nice slash and no bubble it, and we're gonna call that a GG's. And that time we only go 2-3. So hope you guys enjoyed the videos. This time the real outro. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Link in the description for the TikTok and Twitch. Remember, these battles are happening on Twitch live. If you guys do want to watch them, go follow me over there. I go live on Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Central. Hope to see you guys over there. And I will see you guys on the next video.